A Kaladera, Oduduwa, the progenitor of the Yoruba race, as believed by the Ilefe people. However, the Oyo people, the original Yorubas, disagreed with this kind of history, just as the Ilaje people also disagreed with this. What about the majority of the Aworis? They also disagreed. In fact, I have 3 friends from Awori that are questioning the origins of Oduduwa as narrated by the Ilefe people. The Ilefe people believe that Oduduwa came from the sky, that means heaven, with chains and fowl. They also believe that Oduduwa came from Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Another version of this history also talk about Oduduwa from North Africa. You can now see that there are so many stories concerning Oduduwa's origin as narrated by the Ilefe people. Well, let me take you to one of the most important history of Oduduwa, formerly known as Ekaladera, who changed his name to become Igodomigodo. I know many of you will ask me, what is the meaning of Igodomigodo? Is this not a Yoruba word? Well, Igodomigodo means pathway to prosperity. He changed his name because he was scared later on. For the sake of protection and security, he changed his name from Ekaladera to become Igodomigodo. Now, the word Izede, it means pathway in some Urobo dialect and in some Isoko dialect. But the general word for pathway or road is Ijere. What about the word Uwa? Is the word Uwa of Yoruba origin? Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pay attention to this video. The word Uwa is also used by the Igbos, the Benin people or the Edo people, and also the Yoruba people. But the meaning of this word is centered to what we call life. Anything that brings prosperity, promotion, to give you life. Just like words can give you more life, as believed by our people, is what we call Uwa. The Igbos call Uwa as life. The Benin people call Uwa prosperity, wealth. Now, how did this word Uwa arrive in our territory? This is now the reason I'm going to explain to you about Efa and Emein. Efa and Emein were sons of our father, Ibaba Idu. Ibaba Idu also had a father known as Ibaba Erinwi, which we call Ibaba Ere. I told you guys there was a massive flood that happened. And this flood caused so many problems. And there was a particular man who had a encounter with the 4 powers of this world, known as Ogagarene, shortened to become Ogene. This man was referred to as Ibaba Erinwi, which we call Ibaba Ere. Their original territory was some 20 kilometers close to the Atlantic Ocean. When the flood came, they pushed away across the Niger and arrived at the uphill of Ufe in the present Umala local government area of Kogi State. This place known as Ufe is thousands of years older than Ile-Ife in the present day Osun State. It was this territory, Ufe, in the present Umala local government area of Kogi State, that our ancestors, referred to as Ibaba Idu, established himself. Among all priests, he was the chief priest. But Ibaba Idu was not the carrier of this vision. It was his father, Ibaba Erinwi, referred to as Ibaba Ere, that had this vision. But Ibaba Idu was more energetic, vibrant, and productive. So among all priests, he was the chief priest. His elder son, Aka, experienced before the flood and after the flood. But Efa and Emein was born during the flood. and their mother came from that Ufe. Not Ile-Ife of Osun State. Oh, this one is new. That one in Omala local government area of Kogi State is thousands and thousands of years older than this one. So you don't need to compare the history of the Yoruba people to that of Ile-Ife or Yoruba people. We are way ahead. Now, Efa and Emeyi, they are the one that brought some new words into the Urobo ethnic group. When we say Urobo ethnic group, we're talking about the families of priests. I told you guys, among all priests, Paidu was the chief priest. Paidu's father was also a priest. Aka, the elder son. In fact, Aka can be able to give birth to Efa and Emeyi. Efa and Emeyi were given birth to when Paidu was too old. Paidu passed away in that territory and he was referred to as Ogene Ruhe. Aka decided to continue the legacy of his father, but he was denied of his right. He decided to move away with his younger brothers, small boys. They left that territory and they tried to trace back their ancestral home, but their ancestral home has been taken away by the flood. So they stopped at a place where Aka now named Ogbe Aka, which means Aka's compound, Aka's foundation. Aka, in the presence of his brothers, Efa and Emeyi, were also priests. Aka was the chief priest, among others. Aka carried the identity of Uro Obo, which is the families of priests, where Uro means family door, while Obo means priest or traditionalist. So Aka was the one that carried that identity from his ancestors, who were also Uro Obo. So they arrived at Ogbe Aka. Efa and Emeyi also lived with him as well. There were titles that were also given to Efa and Emeyi. In the presence of Efa and Emeyi, Aka was the chief priest. Aka reigned until his son, known as Udu, continued his legacies. Until later on, Efa and Emeyi fought against Udu. Udu moved some 50 kilometers away from Ogbe Aka and established what you called Udo. Udo now became a single-handedly created Urobo community that became a town, prosperous for 1,655 years before Igodomigodo kingdom was established by the same a descendant of Udo, which referred to as Igodu. But Igodomoda came from the territory of Ogbeaka, which is known as Ugbekun. This territory was fully occupied by Efa and Emeyi, with little of Aka's descendants. It was not all Aka that moved some 50 kilometers away from Ogbeaka to Udo. So there were still Aka that still remained there, Aka descendants. So those ones, their stars was covered by Efa and Emeyi. So it was that territory the mother of Igodo came from, but his father came from Udo, which made him to become a prominent Urobo man. Igodo created Igodomigodo kingdom, 40 BCE, and ruled until 16 AD. His grandson, known as Ere, ruled from 16 AD to 66 AD, until the son of Ere, known as Orire, ruled from 66 AD to 100 AD, until there was interregnum that happened later on. Efa and Emeyi decided to participate in the kingship or the ogiership. This became a problem. So they decided to make it rotational between Aka and Efa, with Efa representing Emeyi. Ladies and gentlemen, I heard so many people saying that they were different ethnic group in the Igodomigodo kingdom. No, it was only Urobo, Uro-Obo, with Efa and Emeyi trying to deny this identity. So the political structure that were created, many of these people who became part of this Igodomigodo kingdom, the Yoruba people pushed themselves away and decided not to participate in it because it became political. The vision, the goal of Uro-Obo is to become priests, not a political structure of kingship. But it was somebody from Udo as Urobo descendant that formed what you know as Igodomigodo kingdom under the Akas lineage. This person is referred to as Igodo. So the rest of Urobos decided not to partake in this Igodomigodo kingdom. So there are many Akas that ruled from Ogiso Igodo, Ere, Orire, down to Agbonseke, down to Efeseke, Emose, down to many of the Ogisos. In fact, let's talk about the 31st Ogiso, the father of Oduduwa, referred to as Ekaladeran's father, which we call Ogiso Owodu. Ogiso Owodo was a generous Ogiso and was seen as the 31st Ogiso of Igodomigodo kingdom. He was so good, he was so kind. Such that there was a problem that came between him and the Dionysian. I told you guys, Dionysian means 5 king makers. Isen is 5 from the F and M language. Why from the general families of Urobo, Inyori is 5. So until date, there are people who still maintain this identity of Urobo until date. These people are majorly found in the northwestern Niger Delta, also in Edo State and the Southwest Territory, even down to Bayelsa Territory. They are referred to as Uruobu. It is the earliest ethnic group of our ancestors, the most oldest ethnic group among all. It was this ethnic group that created later on Esan, Edo, Esako, Isoko, the Onwan people, and so many. People from these families of Urobo also moved across to join other ethnic group. Well, let me focus on the story of Oduduwa. Now, Ogiso Owodo, at that time, had a son known as Ikaladeran. And there was a very big problem in the palace. This problem actually came from the eldest wife of Ogiso Owodo. Among 200 wives, Ogiso Owodo had a particular one known as Esago. Esago was the one that led everyone. What actually happened? Ogiso Owodo was looking for more children, but nothing happened. And this became a serious problem. But what actually caused this problem? The eldest of this wife, referred to as Esago, she was the one responsible for this. She was partaking in activities that are not supported by our ancestors. That was how the family became barren. I don't want to mention some words because of social media policies. Now, they decided to go and find out the cause of the problem. Ogiso Owodo sent his wife, Esago, alongside his Odibos, which we know as messengers. They moved across, far away, and they met a very strong native doctor, who later found out that Esago, the eldest of these wives, was the one responsible. Now, on their way coming back, they decided to pass this message to the king. Esago stopped them. She said she wanted to go and heal herself. She went into a private place and she opened her body. She went to the front of these Odibos and opened her body. When these Odibos saw her, they were uncomfortable. And this became a very serious problem to them. Esagoda said that for what has been seen, you people have to change this story in favor of me. I am not the one responsible for the barrenness of this our family. You should change it to become that of a Kaladiran. The Odibos, they have no option, because if they don't change it, Esago said that she will report to her husband, referred to as Ogiso Owodo, that the Odibos slept with her. So the Odibos were so scared, they accepted the super stories. So when they went into the palace, they told Ogiso Owodo was uncomfortable. He decided to exile his son, as at that time, Owodo was exiled to a village known as Orokokoko. And later on, he arrived at Ugoton. The executionists that are responsible in buying him, they pitied him. They discovered that he was innocent. So they decided to free him. He was now advised to move far away from that territory. But before that, Owodo was a Kaladina was welcomed by the then leader of Ugoton in the presence of a very strong traditionalist. This is a story for another day. So they advised him to move far away. That was the reason a Kaladina now moved to the place you call Igala today. As I'm telling you, this story is still there. The Igala people can confirm this history to you. It is in their history concerning a Kaladina whose name became Igodomigodo. He changed his name because he found himself in the pathway of prosperity. Establishing himself in that Igala territory, he became great until information came to his father, Ogiso Owodo, that a Kaladina is still alive. The Kaladina decided to move away from that territory and move across Igodomigodo and arrive at what you know today as Ile-Ife. There was a priest right there who welcomed him. A Kaladina became their lord. Do not forget, his name has been changed to become Izoduwa. And I told you guys how the name Uwa came into this territory from Efa and Emen. It wasn't Yoruba origin alone. So Izoduwa established himself in that territory as Ile-Ife. There are also people known as Ilaje people who can also confirm this history. That is, certain stranger came to this territory and displaced their ancestor, Obatala. But today, the Ile-Ife people, when they want to give you the true origins of Oduduwa, they will tell you it came from the sky with fowl, with chains. Another version, it came from Mecca. Another version, it came from North Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a Kaladina who changed his name to Izoduwa that became Oduduwa and became the lord of the Ile-Ife people. On my next video, I will tell you how we did everything possible to bring him back to Igodomigodo kingdom by the Olias as a den. So do well to share this video, and it's open for every one of you. If you are Yoruba, you can come here and drop your another version of Oduduwa stories. And also, if you are from Benin, you can also confirm this history. I am an Urobo man, I am not a Benin man. Well, let me drop these stories right here. Thank you very much. Make sure you share this video. I told you guys, on my next video, I will tell you how they try to invite Oduduwa, formerly known as a Kaladiran, back to Igodomigodo kingdom, but he was too old. So he sent one of his sons, known as Oromion, back to this territory. I will give you the whole history of Oromion. Thank you very much, and God bless you.